I don't want to categorize and say every time you do a sub 2, it's because they're hurting financially. That's not true. That does happen a lot, but it's not the only time that somebody will sell to you sub 2, okay? Okay, welcome to this week's Q&A Thursday. It's Chris Pre, and I want to bring you a question that came from one of our community members, actually. He had gone through the QLS Homestudy Program, and then he had quasi got what sub 2 was, subject to existing mortgages. I'll talk about it in a minute. But he said, look, when you guys, Zach in particular, had done an explanation in a deal structure on it in one of our private mastermind groups, he said the light bulbs went on, and he suggested that we answer 3 questions simply, because he said he had trouble getting at first based on our videos that he had seen so far. So the 3 questions he wrote in, I'm going to read them to you. He said, just define what is sub 2, and then 2, what's the difference between sub 2 and lease purchase, and 3, why and when to use it. So I'm going to keep this super basic, guys, and answer those, but do so at a 10,000-foot level. And you can always come to the Wicked Smart Sit Down. We host them every Thursday at 4 o'clock. They're free for all of you. So subscribe to the channel here, Q&A Thursday, Motivational Monday, and Deal Structure Sunday. But by all means, get the Wicked Smart Sit Downs on your calendar for every Thursday at 4 o'clock with very few exceptions. About once a month we have a guest, but the other times we're in there doing deals, helping you, doing Q&A, and we welcome all your questions. So whatever this sparks, bring it to the next Wicked Smart Sit Down, okay? All right. What is sub 2? It's nothing more or less than you purchasing a property or your entity. I'm going to use you generally. You purchasing a property whereby you take title, but the mortgage stays in the seller's name as far as the guarantor and all the information the bank has. You're not assuming the loan. That's you applying and taking over the loan and putting your name on there personally. So some sellers will say, my loan's assumable, to which I don't care. I'm going to buy the house subject to that loan staying in their name. Some of those houses you might keep 30 years. Some you might cash out sooner. Some you might do short-term rentals. Many of you do the 3 paydays trademark system we have. Doesn't matter. How you buy it is going to be one issue. The second issue is what you do with it afterwards, okay? So I love sub 2 because the loan stays in their name. You pay it on their behalf, and they are the guarantor. You are not. Trust me when I say you will sleep better at night when you're not on loans. Personally, I lived that nightmare, and I will never do it again. Never do it again, okay? So that's what a sub 2 is. What's the difference between that and a lease purchase? Well, words are tough. The difference between sub 2 in lease purchase is, number one, the no deed transfers. So that's actually the main thing. You're still paying the loan on their behalf, but in a lease purchase, you're tying the home up by controlling it with an instrument called the lease purchase agreement. The title stays in the seller's name until such time you cash it out. That vehicle, unlike the sub 2 where you can own it for years and years and years, is usually used for a short term where people are looking to either get rid of the mortgage in their name within 3 years or pull out equity in 3 years. Because what we do with the lease purchase is we say, hey, on or before, let's use 36 months. We're going to pay off any balance on your loan that we have and any cash we promise you, because we lock in the cash up front on a lease purchase. So that's it. That's the difference between those two vehicles, sub 2 and lease purchase. Now, I will say that I always try to own either sub 2 or owner financing versus lease purchase. Lease purchase is kind of our fallback, our third option. And we have a fourth, but let's just keep it basic for this particular question that he asked. So thank you for sending that in. Now, when would you use it? Well, you always have to look at what's best for the seller. I will tell you that one of our values as a company is we conduct all transactions with the highest integrity. So if we're doing that, then shouldn't we just see what the seller wants? If the seller wants closure and wants a deed out of their name for whatever reason, divorce, death, sick, whatever, then a sub 2 is great. It gets the deed out of their name, you take care of insurance, you own the house. They're just sitting on the loan. Lease purchase, sometimes people say, I don't want to transfer the deed to you. I don't know you that well yet. In which case we might do a lease purchase short term, and we might also, in a year or two, call them back because now they know us, trust us, like us, have the warm and fuzzies. We've been making their mortgage payment on their behalf. They see that, and now we can transfer that to a sub 2. So those two combinations are fun to play with, and typically the sub 2, not always, will lend itself to a seller who is more apt to need financial help tomorrow. Not always. We have Rick in our community did 2 or 3 big deals, big like higher end deals, where he took it over sub 2, and there was significant equity that he put it on a financing component on top of the sub 2. Now, if you have questions on this, please bring it to the sit down because I'm getting deeper than the basic questions that gentleman sent in. But the fact is, I don't want to categorize and say every time you do a sub 2, it's because they're hurting financially. That's not true. That does happen a lot, but it's not the only time that somebody will sell to you sub 2, okay? Not sure where to get started? Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/get going for free books, strategy calls, and a whole bunch more. We're going to help you get going the wicked smart way. We've been after this for over a decade doing exactly that. All right, I hope that was helpful, guys. Now, how do you learn more about this? Well, go get the QLS Homestudy Program. If you don't have that, you're missing out. It's not a course you go through once. It's an online resource center that all of us still to this day use every day doing business. Go to smartrealestatecoach.com/QLS podcast, /QLS podcast. I'm just making sure I gave you the right link. Yeah. And then if you want a more hands-on experience, we do have a very, very, very inexpensive, by far the best thing that we've ever done as a company. And I'm telling you, as of this filming, by far the best thing that's out there relative to how much it costs. Because for $50 or less, you can become an apprentice and get 12 weeks of group coaching and get that QLS home study course for how much? Free. Just go to smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice podcast. smartrealestatecoach.com/apprentice podcast. Make it a great week, guys. Be sure to subscribe. Forward this to anyone you think it can help. Share it with them. And let's make sure we see you at the next QLS Live event. Next one's in Boston, depending on when you're seeing this, QLSlive.com.